Welcome to the Marketing Intern Spotlight. A marketing intern is a listener who's spreading our message authentically. Hear their story, their passion, and their journey. Enjoy. Well, hey, welcome to the studio, man.
Oh, thank you.
What are you thinking?
The Backpocket Podcast.
We're here. We're live.
We're live.
So your first podcast on a couch. You're sitting pretty comfortable, I hope.
Yeah, I am. I'm very comfortable.
Yeah, and we're not going to say it, but we'll say it. We've had probably 100 people sit on that couch before you in the last calendar year. How's it? Is it forming you, or is it?
Yeah, you could tell 100 people been on here. Some of them maybe heavier than others. No, I was just like.
I think you're definitely the tallest to be in it. We had Chad Greenway on. He's probably a close second.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
it's a big man.
Yeah, it is a big man. I'm glad it's not like the structural integrity is actually still being maintained, which is good for the corp. We allegedly have business insurance if anything were to happen, so do not worry, KJ.
That's cool.
Yeah, but hey, welcome. It's really fun because I met you. I think I've known you for a while, to be honest. I just got into comedy over a year ago, and I've been seeing you at Sisyphus. I've been seeing you at House of Comedy, all over the place. But really, actually got to meet you 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah, we were at Underground Music Cafe.
Yeah, the Comedy at the Crane.
Night Comedy at the Crane.
Yeah, which was really fun. Watch you tell your new fantasy football joke, which I was telling Andy about. One of my favorite.
Yeah, it killed in Missouri this weekend too.
Really?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I love that.
There must have been a lot of football fans down there too, with the Sunday Night Football.
Yeah.
Kind of being down in that way, and with Kansas City.
Yep. Kansas City's hot there. Yeah.
I love that, man. But yeah, I'm super excited because you're actually the first person to ever offer me a spot on a show. So thank you.
No problem, man. I try to, be a positive influencer with younger or new comics, whatever. Because I remember a guy named Dennis Anton, and we were over at the Welch's Big Ten. I think it was Scott Hans's room, somebody like that. But anyway, I asked him, man, how do I get bookers and get more gigs and stuff? And Dennis was so nice. I'll never forget this. He said, what's your email? I gave him my email, and he sent me a list of about 10 to 15 different bookers and got me started. Damn. And yeah, I was like, oh man, he didn't have to do that. But he was like, nah, you funny, man. I'm gonna help you out. And he just said, no, just do me a favor when you're in a position someday, help younger comics out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I do.
And that's kind of been the model that I've been seeing, as a bystander, and then having conversations with Khadijah Cooper and Tommy Bayer and Lisa Evanson, also local comics here in the Twin Cities. They're all preaching the same thing, like the give back, helping other people, make the name for themselves.
Yeah. I mean, because comedy, it can be, some comics take a very competitive stance with it. They think that they're competing with other comics, and you're not. There's enough for everybody to eat, and you just gotta find your voice, get in your lane, and enjoy your journey. Travel your roads, take your bumps, take your lumps, and just keep going and have fun. If you're not having fun, then you're in it for the wrong reason. So you gotta have fun. Don't have a lot of expectations, because expectations turn into rejections, and they turn into substance abuse.
Escalates very quickly.
It escalates very quickly.
Absolutely. So I know we actually just listened to a podcast with you on the Mill City, and we know a little bit about
number
you.
1.
Episode number 1. Wow, you really kicked them off. Your episode number 200 and something. We lost count at this point.
Wow.
And that's not a brag on our end. We're just had to put it out there.
Oh, that's okay. I'm good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. But we know a little bit about you. Would you I guess
let's break down your story from when you were a NBA summer leaguer.
Oh, okay. This how that happened. I went to Southern University, New Orleans. I played there, right? And then I went back for my sophomore season. They didn't have any scholarships. They had one a year before I was on a full scholarship. And then I said, hey, I can't go back home because I got 8 brothers and sisters and 2 cousins. So I walked on at the University of New Orleans, and then they sent me to a junior college in Florida. I played there, and then they had such a stringent academic requirement. Like, you had to graduate. You had to take a test equivalent to a graduate school entrance test to get your 2-year degree. I fumbled around with that test. I had to take an extra semester. I didn't mind because I was in Florida.
Yep.
Right.
And then so I went back home, and my mom was like, "Nah, I need you to go ahead and finish that degree you promised me." So I went down to Missouri Western State, and I played only a year. I didn't like the coach. We had a lot of problems. And then afterward, I went out to the NBA Summer League, and I played so good. I had 2 teams of interest, Minnesota, North Carolina. And then I called my auntie up. I said, "Hey, auntie, because my grandmother live here and cousins live here." So I had a little bit of family live here, and I called my auntie up. I said, "Hey, auntie, how was Minnesota?" And she said, "Oh, you'll love Minnesota. White girls love brothers." I was like, "I'm on my way."
Yep.
Book the flight the next day.
Yeah, so I got here, and I worked out, and I met a lady who was friends with Harvey Rotner's wife. She was best
The
friend.
owner of the Twins
Timberwolves.
at the time.
Yeah, at the time. They gave me a lifetime membership to Northwest Fitness, and then Lifetime Fitness bought them. But yeah, I used to hang out and work out with. They had Sam Mitchell, Pooh Richardson, all that. We worked out the Target centers, and then we used to work out at 98th Street, and yeah, I was really trying to give it a try, and then I think I messed up my ankle real bad, like all the ligaments or something.
Because you were quick too, I'm guessing. You had a quick two. You were playing good defense.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
could play. I could post up. I could shoot 3. I could drive, and all I needed to work on was my wing defense because
Mhm.
I was more of a inside, outside. I'll start inside, but I could shoot outside.
Gotcha.
And so over the years, I didn't get the dream I wanted, but now that I'm an entertainer, I kind of fell into this. I feel like I have the dream I need now. So,
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
but-
So how did you, I guess, quote unquote, fall into the dream? I know we're talking. You're in the NBA around what, 89?
Yeah, I was just in the NBA Summer League, and like I said, I came here. I met friends with.
Hey, no need to say summer league. You were in the NBA.
Yeah.
Well,
Come on now.
well, it's just the Summer League. I didn't get to play in the real regular season, so it's just a Summer League. It's over the years, like the next few years after that happened, man, I kept working out. I got a chance to work out with Kevin Garnett a little bit. We used to play at St. Louis Park. Randy Moss was there. People don't know that he played with White Chocolate. Jason, I can't think of Jason's
Jason
last-
Williams.
Yes.
Mhm.
He used to play with him in Virginia, West Virginia. I'll tell you this story. It's a funny story. We was working out. Randy was on my team. I remember getting a rebound. I outlet it to Randy. And I know him and Chris Carr had been talking smack. And then I think Chris Carr didn't realize that Randy was a real hooper. But when I threw this outlet pass to him, Randy went down. And I think it was like, it was a pickup game. It was tied. And all I remember was Randy just went up. He just kept going up. Chris Carr went up the rocket, but Randy just kept going up and up. And then I remember him slamming on Chris Carr, and everybody got up and ran out the gym. Game. And then Randy's like, "Go home, motherfucker." To Chris Carr, yeah.
Oh, that's so smooth. It was
Yeah.
probably he caught that outlet pass and was like 3 dribbles.
Dribbles.
and just-
You know, he had like a 44-inch something. He had an insane vertical, and he had 4.2 speed.
Mhm.
He was a freakish athlete, man. Just just one of those once in a lifetime kind of athletes, man.
Yeah. How was like the Twin Cities back in the day? I assume you were living probably around the area in Minneapolis.
Yeah, it was fun, man. I had so much fun. I used to get confused with being Sam Mitchell. Yeah, so
Cue Sam Mitchell photo right here.
Yeah, we'll get you.
you know, and I met Sam. I think we was playing downtown, the Target Center, whatever. And Sam was pretty cool. But like off the court, a lot of women, would call me Sam and like, hey Sam, you want to come over and have a drink with us? Let's go out and party, whatever. And so I thought about it. I said, oh, you know what? They don't know the difference, so let's just go,
Absolutely.
So I would hang out with ladies, and, it was a fun time in Minnesota back then. I met some really beautiful women, and, yeah, it was cool because, like, I used to hang out with my aunt. She showed me the fashion game. She's like, yeah, we're going to go out to these really unique stores and different stores like that, thrift stores, and I would find like full length leather coats, meat coats, stuff like that. So I was like, because I always loved fashion, GQ, so I would look at Reggie Theus, Dr. J, how they dressed up back then. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna put on some fly shit. And women always thought I was in the league, and so for the first 2-3 years I lived here, I kind of felt like I was Sam Mitchell off the court with the ladies, but it was just a fun time, man. It was, being, I met Prince one time.
Really? No way.
Yeah, we was in First Avenue, and Prince walked up to me. He said, "Hey Sam, I've been watching y'all play." And at that moment, I had to be Sam. I said, "Nice to meet you, Prince." And then we walked downstairs, and Sam was downstairs. You could see the confused look on Prince's face. It's like which one of you motherfuckers is Sam?
No way.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's Sam, man. And yeah, man, it was fun, man. I had, as a young 25, 26-year-old, I probably fulfilled, man. Now I look back, probably about 70% of my fantasies. Because ball players, women just love ball players, man.
Oh, yeah. And the T-Pops were good then, too, with KG and Sam Cassell.
Yeah, they was just coming in around that time because KG came in, I think a few years later, 95 or 93, something like that.
Sounds about right, yeah.
Around there. Mm-hmm. And he was just, man, he's a beast. I actually did 2 commercials with him. I have a picture on my Instagram site where I did one of the commercials. I showed my youngest son, who's like 14, 6'5".
God.
Yeah. I remember hearing some people used to ask me, all the time, I tell this joke in my routine, about not making it to the NBA. They said, I think one of my uncles would ask me, like, KJ, man, why you didn't make it to the NBA? And I told him, I said, honestly, when I was in the workouts and the trials, I could not block Kevin Garnett's balls from swinging in my face after he dunked on me. That dude is a 7-foot orangutan swinging on the rim. I got ball sweat and ball juice coming out on my forehead. I mean, it's embarrassing because I was trying to buy my mama a house and he was killing my dream. I was just trying to be a goddamn practice player. He was killing my dream. I said I can dunk on him on an NBA PlayStation Live.
Unbelievable. Did you happen to meet your wife acting as Sam?
Did I happen to meet who?
Your wife as Sam? Because you're meeting all these pretty women and whatnot. Did you?
And I met my wife later on. My first wife. I'm on my second wife now. My first wife I met probably when I was 36, but we dated for 4 years. It was around a little bit after that, but she was an editor for Star Trib. She kind of got me into the writing aspect. I was a spoken word artist before I was a comedian.
Wow.
I have a CD out on one of my YouTube pages with my real name, Kaleki Javed. You will see this character I created, Late Night Poet, and that's my nickname was Late Night back then in the day, because I had a lot of NBA friends that would come by my place. I had a roommate named Tony Williamson, and we had this huge 6-bedroom house, North Minneapolis, Spiral Case, just player pad and women.
Sounds like this.
Yeah, it's just women loved it. It was down the street from this club called Riverview, and women loved to come by. We would throw these parties, and It was fun time, man. Back then, Kirby Puckett, it was just a fun time, and I was young and just having fun, man. When you're young, you're in your 20s,
And you're rolling around with all those people.
Yeah,
I mean, you just gotta be smiling ear to ear, having a great time.
Yeah, it was just a fun time, man.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, that's something about my past with basketball. I still play, even to today. I'm about to get back on court and play 2-3 times a week. I had like a inflamed shoulder rotor cuff, but I did the PT treatment, physical therapy, and got it back. And then after I got my personal trainer's license, I really know how to, define the right exercises to strengthen it where I can get back on the court.
Mm-hmm.
Right on, man.
Well, and you got to body up your 6'5" kid and let him know, like, hey, this is 80s, 90s basketball. You're not getting around with this butterfly stuff.
Nah, yeah. I gotta teach him because he's still growing. I don't know if he's gonna be 7 foot. Might be a little, financial cash cow down the road.
You got to muster him up, get a scholarship and whatnot. It's got to happen.
Oh yeah.
But I do want to tap in a little bit. After your career in the NBA, what kind of came after that? And
I played in this league called the IBA, International Basketball Association. They had a team in St. Cloud, and we went down to Winnipeg to play, and that was like probably the last year I played. I think I was about 32 or whatever.
Okay.
And I met this beautiful girl. I remember at the end of the season, and she said, "They got a team here. You should stay." And I stayed in Winnipeg. She worked for Air Canada, so we should fly back and forth. And she was cool. I thought about marrying her and whatever, but I was stubborn. I was stubborn a little bit with women. I mean, I just was scared of commitment, so I let a pretty one slip by. But a lot of pretty ones slip by. But
yeah, women are frightening, man.
Women they're a different creature, man. I love them, and we can't do nothing in the world without them. But yeah, they will put you in a trick bag too,
Absolutely, man. Because didn't you said you taught for a little bit, right?
Yeah, I was in Minneapolis public school system probably about 17 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
And I was like a support staff before I was a teacher. I would work in the elementary school over south. When I first came to the district, I taught basketball classes, and then I was a support staff person for autistic students. So I really delved into special ed, and then they had a program that came available where I got my teacher's license, and I had to sub up until I got them, but it was called Q, Collaborative Urban Educator. It was at St. Thomas, which I was just telling you about.
Yeah.
I didn't finish my graduate degree, but yeah, I went there and then I worked. My last school that I was a teacher at was Dunwoody High School, and they closed it. And so when I got laid off, I collected unemployment for about 3 years because Obama was in office. He kept extending that unemployment. I kept extending it with it, and I just hit the road, and then I had just got married for my second time. I told my wife, I said, I kind of like being a comedian. I kind of like the freedom. I kind of like seeing people laugh and making a difference with humanity and being an artist. I said, babe, I don't think I could go back working for anybody else. I just have to figure it out as an entrepreneur. And most entrepreneurs through the years, you always still a work in progress of figuring it out. You just keep going until you build the kind of financial portfolio or whatever you want to achieve in it, with being a business owner or working for yourself.
That's awesome.
It's a lot of perks to it. I mean, it's a lot of challenge too, because when you rolling, you better pay your rent up for 2-3 months, whatever. Mm-hmm. But when you're not. You just gotta accept where you're at and face it and know that other opportunities are coming. So,
because you're traveling across like the Midwest.
Yeah, the Midwest. I actually got to go back to LA November. I'm pitching a film treatment for my own stand-up special with Tony Woods. I wrote the film treatment called A Happy Hour of Comedy. The Happy Hour of Comedy, the name came from where you'll be on the show with us November 9th at Underground Music Cafe. The theme come from, like, me and Jimmy are two sober comedians. We're substance free, and I've been sober for 7 years. Jimmy probably 10, 15 years, whatever. And so I came up with the concept of two comedians like the drink concept, except we're not drinking. We just want to provide a happy hour of comedy.
Yeah.
At
the root of it, it's that you're providing the happiness and the laughter.
Yes. So So I took that same theme and wrote the film treatment for me and Tony Woods, because I asked Tony, he was recently popped in town for a minute. I took him out to House of Comedy to meet Steve, the manager, and I asked him about that, and he's like, man, I don't have a Netflix special, but if you can get it for us. He said, I don't even want to do an hour, I just do a half an hour. And I was like, well, bet, let's go for it.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
You got to walk me through kind of how that process is, because that is like, it's cutthroat in there. I mean, there's a lot of people trying to get those spots. And when you're writing a film treatment, is that just kind of like the outline and kind of the presentation of what it could look like?
Yeah, it's just the presentation. And I study a lot. I don't know if people understand this about me, but I study a lot, and I study other people's careers, and Eddie Murphy, Dave Chappelle. I study how the most popular comedians or the most successful ones, they use their other talent. They produce, they write shows. Like he had the sketch comedy show. Remember, Dave Chappelle had the sketch. So he had writers. He had Paul Mooney. He had Charlie Murphy, Eddie Murphy, brother on there. And I realized that being a former educator, I'm a pretty good writer, and I should use this skill set to help promote my whole branch of entertainment and my other skill sets. I think for me, I don't know, I feel like kind of a Renaissance kind of guy, because I don't just do stand-up, but stand-up is my number one love. But I do acting, writing, modeling. Like I said, I started my career as a spoken word artist called Late Night Poet. I was one of the first in the city to do an album with neo soul, R&B, jazz beats behind it. Like I tell the joke about, when I used to write poetry, I thought it was for me, but it really was for the ladies. I wrote poems like Cotton Panties, The Sweet Hurt Thing. I was just at a book release thing for my sister who did a poetry book, and she's like, can you do a little something? I said, I can't do it without the music. I need the music. So the DJ put on a little music like The Art of Noise, and I did this thing called Baby Africa. It was dope, man.
That's killer.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Can we get a couple copies? And hey, I want to do read your poem in our voices.
Oh yeah, you can get a couple. I'll send you a couple of poems. I have some in my phone, man. I keep like last night I was up. I watched Dolomite, right, and I felt inspired. So I wrote a little poetic thing about how social media is. How I feel like when America is so desensitized to bullshit that when they get real shit, it feels foreign. And that was a little bit. I put 3:27 a.m. I wrote that last night. It's on I didn't get not one fucking like, but I wrote this shit on Facebook on my regular page. It probably wasn't nobody up, but anyway, I got at 1 o'clock. I put out another post. I said, America is so used to bullshit that when somebody puts some positive shit on there, it sounds foreign.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, and I think there's guys out there right now like Gary Vaynerchuk, if you ever heard of him. He's kind of like a serial entrepreneur, but he's really blasting positivity out there. And in the last, correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew, but I would say 3 to 5 years,
that sounds about right,
he's blown up in a big way just from promoting gratitude, empathy, just in your face. And he's all about,
What's his name again?
Gary Vaynerchuk.
I'm gonna have to look him up, man.
Yeah,
because
you like
if he's blowing up on positivity, that's the lane I want to be in, because I think that we're living in a world that is becoming very, very toxic. Like negativity, the news, you can only take so much. I think for the younger generation, and I'm a little bit older, I'm 56, but I'm just speaking for the younger generation. I think the millennials, I think, need to help make the news outlet more accountable of giving America more positive shit. I mean, we can't keep, there's got to be some optimism for younger people, like to view the world as like, hey, we could be the gatekeepers coming up. We can change the directions, and because politics right now is off the chain, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's off the chain, man.
Yep.
I mean, there's no accountability. I mean, our current president or whatever, is breaking all the rules.
And we're just letting it slide.
We just letting him slide. He getting a pass on everything. Obama couldn't get a pass on none of this shit he did. None of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I heard Rachel on NSC, whatever that is,
Mm-hmm.
and she went through his thing of all his accomplishments and things like that, and they rated him as a top 5 president of all time. All the shit that he accomplished, but I mean, they're not gonna mention that she did, but I'm just saying that we want young people to be politicians. We want young people to be leaders. We want them to be positively influenced of American culture. Then we need to get some type of accountability going for what's happening now. I mean, I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. I don't care. Whatever party you choose is fine. I respect that. But just treat people or treat America because it's the ugly history here in America. It needs to create momentum of positivity and change, man.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's no accountability for the ugly history of America, but like today, we're in a position to create change. We're in a position to give hope. This is considered one of the greatest countries in the world, but it has one of the greatest damaging and inflicting, past. So we need to change that with,
positivity.
With positivity.
I agree, man. And I'm sorry, Andrew, I'm just jumping in real quick, but like you mentioned, like looking up to leaders and like different people, in the 50 plus range of like who's really at the hold of, the leash of America right now. And, I would be really curious to see like what people in their 20s, like who do they look up to right now?
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, I'm kind of just a knucklehead comedian. I do podcasting and I'm an engineer, just graduated from college. Like my full transparency, my favorite leader, someone who I look up to, is literally Joe Rogan.
That's fine. I mean,
right?
at least Joe Rogan is trying to make an impact in the world. I mean, he's servicing humanity with laughter. He is being a leader within his career, his craft. I mean, Joe Rogan is a businessman too with comedy. He's brought Comedy Store back. Comedy Store was dying until Joe Rogan, put him on with the podcast. He put him over. I mean, and
right.
then he made a huge profit for himself too doing it. So
absolutely,
he's got like the number one podcast now or something like that.
Oh, for sure, it's the number one podcast.
Yeah,
yep.
I mean, he made podcasts fashionable for everybody. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, and that's the reason why we're doing it is because of Joe Rogan, and it's helped us like so much because we get to have conversations like with you on a random Monday night, like someone that I haven't had a chance to have a conversation with who's done a lot of cool things, and get to hear your life story, and then you get to give me some wisdom, and I get to walk away a better person. And because Joe Rogan kind of provided that, saying like, yo, be cool and have a conversation for an hour, because that's when you're gonna actually like learn something.
Oh, absolutely, man. Growing up, I had a father that was a living room comedian. He had a little bit of Red Fox in him, Dick Gregory. He had a little bit of Lenny Bruce. He had a little bit of everybody in him, and it's just the one thing that I remember. He's like, listen to learn and learn to listen. It'll take you it'll take you places in life. And I was like, okay, listen to learn to listen. Okay. And so learning, he said, is a lifetime deal. You will always be learning. You will probably always be a work in progress. But at the end of the day, your actions and what you're trying to achieve in life will speak for you long after you're gone. And I'm like, okay, pause. I said, "Pa, how many years you went to college?" "Oh, I just went 2 until I got your mama pregnant."
That's awesome, man.
So yeah.
Well, that back to Gary, he kind of has this quote: "If you're looking for good, piece of cake. If you're looking for bad, piece of cake. All I'm asking is, what the fuck are you looking for?"
Absolutely.
And people are kind of like stuck in their ways of just like searching and seeking out the bad and then just blowing it up. And it's so unhealthy, and it's not doing anyone any good. And when you're talking about how like you put out that post at 3 a.m. and it didn't do well, it's like people aren't searching for good. They want to see the bad, and they want that to go viral.
Yeah, that's true, and that's the way we have conditioned ourselves in this country to seek bad, and we gratify it more than we do positive shit. We gratify the bad boy, the villains, and then the real heroes are overlooked. You know, like even in music, even in hip hop, the real lyricists don't get any airplay. You know what I mean? The stupid shit, you know, oh, it's hot, you know.
Mumble rap,
eating salad out of an ass, you know.
Do you listen to Kanye's new album yet?
No, I haven't.
Do you like Kanye at all?
I
or?
used to when it was College Park, yeah.
Yeah.
But like now, I don't understand them. I mean, I just don't get it. You know? I mean, I listen to Kendrick Lamar as far as new acts, J. Cole. I listen to lyricists. You know, I have, if I'm gonna listen to something, I want it to make sense. Otherwise, I can't listen to misogynist, braggatory rap. It just not feed my soul. Music for me, the way I was raised, was always Motown, jazz, R&B. Music was meant to be uplifting, inspiration. You know, it would help you dance. It would release happy chemicals from your brain like dopamine, serotonins, and, you know, make you feel good. So I want music that makes me feel good. I can't listen to something that's not feeding my soul. It's just not good for me.
Yeah, I pick up on that a lot of times now. When we were actually at a place the other day where I saw Beatles lyrics on the staircase, and it was you know, I try with a little help from my friends. I get by with a little help from my friends. I get high with a little help from my friends. It's with a little help from my friends from the Beatles. It's like, dude, that song is awesome. Like, that speaks to me.
Yeah.
A 60s song or 60s, 70s.
Yeah.
Then I was like, oh man, maybe I should let's look at let's put Kanye in the box right now. What do lyrics on a wall look like from Kanye? Drop it to the floor, make that ass shake. Whoa, make the ground move. That's an ass quake. Built a house upon that ass. That's an ass state. Roll my weed on it. That's an ashtray. Doesn't work. Like, it's not. It's
no, it doesn't
different.
work. It's different. I mean,
can't relate to it.
I can't relate either. I mean, what kind of ass was it? You know,
that's all I gotta ask.
You know, what kind of, you know, I can't relate, man. Like I said, I relate to old school. Eric B, Rakim, Grandmaster Flash, Curtis Blow, Tupac, Biggie. I relate to old school stuff, but like new stuff, you know, Kendrick is cool. J. Cole, you know, there's a few of them I know, but. Yeah, I can't. I have to be able to understand what I'm involved in. I'm not finna waste my time and energy with shit that's just not making sense for me, man.
You play the instrument, an instrument, right?
No, I'm just a lyricist. Like I play with words. I'm a wordsmith in terms of with music. I can, you know. No, I haven't learned how to sing. I think in my future I want to learn how to sing. You know, I can't sing, but I can make words feel like they're singing and speaking them as a lyricist, you know.
Okay.
But no, I haven't. I bought back some congos from Africa when I went to Africa. I brought back some congos, but I dap on them just to, you know.
Get a beat going.
Yeah, feel the rhythm, you know, of my ancestors or whatever, you know.
That's awesome.
With a cigar in your mouth.
With a cigar, yeah.
Absolutely. So it's tapping a little bit more back into, you know, when you started as a comic. So that you started more into comedy. Was it right when the recession hit and you got laid off your teaching job?
It was a little bit before the recession hit. I've probably been doing about 15 years now, I think. Like I said, when I first started going, I was a semi-finalist and finalist in Acme's Funniest Person
Yeah.
And then a couple of years after that, I started hitting the road, man. I started hitting the road and just kept going. Just realized, I've been to about 10 or 15 comedy festivals. There was one time where I didn't know if I was going to keep going. I think the Detroit Comedy Festival, this is really what happened. I went to Trial by Laughter Comedy Festival with Steve Hostetter, whatever. He's kind of big comic, out of LA. He was producing comedy festivals. I went there, and I didn't win. I felt like I got robbed in Indianapolis. It was a Comcast was recording and all that, and then I think I went to Detroit Comedy Festival. Lewis Black was hosting it, and I remember being in the green room, extremely nervous, and I used to drink back then. I had a Hennessy with a little bit of Red Bull. I said I need to do something to calm my nerves down because it was sold out at Mark Wickley's Comedy Club in Detroit. And Lou was like, "Hey, how you doing?" I said, "I'm a little nervous." He said, "Nah." He said, "Just go out, have fun." I said, "I was thinking about quitting." He said, "Why would you do that?" I said, "I just feel like I'm not where I'm supposed to be." He said, "Listen, just go have fun, and then understand that comedy is a long road, but don't put no pressure on yourself. Just go have fun, do the best you can do, and then we'll talk after you're set." And I wrote my intro. He said, "Now I want you to write an intro." I wrote on a card, and it's on my YouTube page, KJ the Comic. And I wrote, my credit was because I had some sketches that had millions of hits on YouTube, the Whopper Freakout back in the day. It had like me, Kevin Kraft, and Asa Thibodeau. He was a filmmaker, so we did this sketch, and it had over 10 million hits on YouTube about 11 years ago. And I remember I was in the green room, and I went out, and there was a lot of media there, whatever. And I had one of my best sets ever, and I came back on a high. And Lewis said, "See, you got something special. You should just keep going." And I said, "I will." And Kathleen Madigan was in the green room, and she said, "You did pretty good set." And I was like, "Oh, fuck. Fucking Lewis Black said I had a good set." And Kathleen Madigan, I said, "Fuck yeah, I got to keep going, And I've been rolling ever since, I mean, I haven't, achieved a TV special or none of that stuff, but I think that's in the works. I just learned to be in the moment with every show, give it 110, and then just enjoy the fuck out of it. And I do, man. I have great times, great shows lately. I very rarely feel off my game, and I feel like I'm in a position where now I'm just enjoying it even more immensely because, when you're married, you got this. I got to go for the weekend. I get a little time out. I get to do something I love to do and then come back. I love my family, but yeah, sometimes as comedians, we need a little time to ourselves too.
I mean, you're going like flashback to 15 years ago when you leaned over to your wife and you're like, I like this comedy thing. I want to try it. And then you see these moments and you get these things that you probably never predicted, these feelings that you never predicted while you're up on that stage and just like, holy shit, I am where I am supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just like lately I've been like really grateful for the craft, like really humbled by it, like really enjoying it, and really just excited for the future with it, because my second wife, Angela, who came in after year 1 or 2 of comedy, she's seen me bomb a few times. She's seen me, and then now she'll come to the show. She's like, "Oh, you fucking amazing. You killed it tonight." And I was like, "Thank you, baby, for supporting me and allow me to be who I am and not make me get a job or say, you got to do this, you got to do that." She kind of know that I'm not going to quit. She know that there's some pot of gold at the end of this shit or whatever it comes, but she is very encouraging. And, as comedians, you often need a positive influence in your life. Somebody to say, "Hey, you're going to be all right. Just keep going. Just keep going. Don't worry about where you at. Just understand it's a marathon. It's a long journey. Just keep going. Tracy Ashley, who came out of Acme, just recently got her break at year 20 with Tiffany Haddish put her on with We Ready.
Mm-hmm.
She started here at Acme, just kept going, and she probably didn't know that, she knew she had faith, but it's just so gratifying to see someone like that, get a break and break through,
Yeah, I think it's cool, and it's a testament to those guys because you've seen them go through the ranks and see them show up at those open mics every single night, trying new jokes and trying to build what they got. And it's a tough game because there's just so much high and highs and lows and lows. Like I've been doing this for less than a year. Like I can barely call myself a comedian or whatever I even am. But man, bombing might be the worst thing of all time. Whereas like when you kill, then you feel like you were describing earlier. You feel like you're unstoppable.
And you know what? I've started to look at bombing different over the years. Like bombing is actually good for you sometimes. It's a learning tool. If you take the perspective that, okay, why didn't this performance work or these jokes work? And you actually take a learner's perspective from it. Like, hey, what can I learn from this? What can I go back and tweak and then come back? Or was my energy off? Was I not into it? Was I present? Or was I present when you could go back and learn from it. And every now and then, no matter how many years you've been into it, you have an off night. You will, and it will reset you real quick. It'll humble you. It'll bring you down. You'll be on a wave, and then whoop, it'll bring your comedy gods have a way of humbling your ass. It'll bring you down, and you reset, and it'll make you hungry to get back on the mic again because you got to wash away that last experience. And you got to have a short memory, like a hooper. If a joke not working while you up there, you got to have a short memory. Let it go. Okay, what I got next in my brain? Because, we multitasking in our head. Like, what I got next? What's going to hit next? And you just got to be able to just keep going and multitasking your brain. It's like, hey, it's all right. I'm going to learn from it, But some people, like younger comics or some of them, they're like, oh, shit, this is not good. And then again, it hurts your confidence to get inside your head, you get inside your feelings. Whereas if you take a learner's approach, you become a better professional because you don't look, if you keep a sense of humor, when you're bombing, you're not bombing. Because you have a sense of humor and passion about what you're doing. So that's not bombing. You just having an offset. Mm-hmm. And if you keep a sense of humor and you'll never bomb. It's just like maybe people didn't get it, but you are the orchestrator of that journey. You're the orchestrator of your set. So if people don't get it, then don't think that some people laugh inside their head. It's cerebral. They don't laugh out loud, but they might tell you after you're saying, that was pretty good. Just good. And people who do corporate go through that stuff all the time. Who do corporate gigs, they scared to laugh because their boss is there.
Right.
But no, man, it's just the approach to looking at what bombing is. It's just, I knew I wasn't getting laughs early in my career, but then I came out of Brave New Workshop. I came out of sketch comedy theater, and I did a few plays. So I had to learn how to joke write. I had bought 5 joke writing books. So people who say, oh, if you ain't born with it, you ain't got it. That's bullshit. You can learn your craft. You can learn how to formulate jokes by writing and taking them to the stage and working them out. Everybody don't learn this comedy shit the same way. Some people, might have it naturally, but I think a lot of times is what comics forget is to keep a sense of humor, keep the comedy in your heart and let it flow. If you got a sense of humor, you keep that shit in you, in your heart, and then as you develop, it only gets stronger. It only gets stronger and stronger. But people they lose it sometime in their heart. They become jaded by life and bitter, and it shows when they hit the stage. No, you can't come up and try to entertain somebody and you mad as fuck about life. The fuck out of here. You can't do that. You want to have the flavor or comedic energy in your heart so it exudes in your performance. Yeah.
When did you realize you needed to start going to these classes or these groups to hone in your craft?
The writing
Aspect. Yeah.
the writing aspect, I knew right when I felt like I wasn't constructing the joke the right way. I had too many topics in the setup. I said, hold on now, this shit ain't right. I need to start with one topic and then develop different punchlines from there, but introduce them to one topic and then develop stuff, and then you can add on, the tags and the different punchlines, but you don't want to have too many topics in the beginning of a joke or in the setup. And then I learned to write in about 4 or 5 different styles. Like I might do a storytelling bit, a traditional premise, setup, punchline, a one-liner, a riff and rant, an observation, and improv. And it's complex, but that's my voice. I get to express all my life experience through those 4 or 5 different writing styles. And it works for me because just a student of the craft. I'm a student of comedy. I study, I look at how stuff work for successful comedians, and I figure, well, let me figure out what's going to work for me. And that's what each comedian has to figure out. What is your voice going to be within your expression or your creative or your imaginative expression? How are you going to put that out there that best represent what you want your funnies to be about? And that's one thing that I found that works for myself.
Nice. How long did it take to find your voice or the thing that you were most excited about making people laugh?
It took a minute, man. I would say it took year 4 or 5 for me, and they say usually it take 3 years, but it took about 4 or 5 years before I really feel like, comedy is really about saying what you want to say. It's about your point of view, and you can't not be fearful of saying what you want to say. You have to take a fucking fearless approach. Like, you got to be hella confident to sell a fucking joke. You can't be like, oh, they might not like this. This might be too PC. Fuck political correctness. Comedy is the last refuge of freedom of speech. It is. This is why I do it, because spoken word, I could rhyme and whatever. People are like,
Poetry slam.
Yeah, I really want to make a joke about Black History Month, or I really want to make a joke about sex, or I really want to make a joke about people, the way they drive and when the roads are icy, black ice, and why is it considered black ice? Why it can't be clear, whatever. Why y'all put bad shit when this shit's bad? It's got to be black and shit. Hold on now. So, that's where comedy comes in, where you can expand people's horizon with a good joke. They'll go home and think about it. What I mean? Like, yeah, that's true. Why is it called black ice? It's just fucking ice.
It's fucking ice with a troubled past.
You know what I mean? So, but comedy allows us comedians to express different points of view, and most comedians need to remember that you're giving your point of view through one of the most difficult art forms in the world. It is. It's just not as easy as people think it is. You have to do some research a little bit and if you watch Comedians in Cars with Jerry Seinfeld talking about it, he had a joke he worked on for 7 years. And some of the great ones, they stitch jokes together, and then finally, boom, voila, it's gold, it's hot.
Yeah, I think that just the commitment to put a joke together for that long is just incredibly foreign to me, because I'll go up and I'll build a joke for a week, and if it's just not getting a listening emotion, I'll typically just bag it. And I'm sure that's not the way to do it, and you got to do kind of a judgment call for each thing, but it does. I mean, it
puts things into perspective a little more.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, some bits, you know, they may not never go anywhere, but some bits, if you stick with it, and you know, something might come to you a year later, like, oh, I could use this for that joke.
Mm-hmm.
To tweak it around.
Yeah.
I could use this, and that's how it happens. The fantasy football joke I wrote because I had a bit about my wife saying something crazy to me. You need to date me again. And, you know, comedy comes from a very reality-based place. And I was like, babe, I can't date you again. She's like, why? I said, because when I was dating you, I was dating other women too. And she's like, oh. She's like, you know, I said, that's why I married you. You got the MVP. And, oh, she said, oh, you mean like I was your most valuable player? I said, then she said, I was your point guard. Like, yeah, baby, you my point guard. You know, you the most valuable player here. You know, now post up, dribble these balls, and I ain't finger roll them.
Set up the assist.
You know, and then I flipped the joke recently. You know, like now, I might say when she's not at the show. I was like, instead of her, she'll say, you know, was I your star point guard? Was we like the movie Love and Basketball? I said, baby, you more like my power forward now. You gained a little weight. And so I developed, from that, I developed fantasy football. And the tag for that is, after I do that joke, I said, you know, she calls it reverse. I was like, hell no, I ain't licking no ass, you know, because I'm just telling you from the punchline.
Yeah.
I said, we need to go back to that other role play night when we was playing Love and Basketball, and I was dribbling two asses, and you asked me where to shoot. I like that game better. So, yeah, so that's how I went back. It's a callback from
previous time,
yeah, from the date joke. So callbacks are great, you know. But yeah, I found that in the moment over the weekend. I said, yeah, we need to go back to the Love and Basketball role play night where I dribble two asses and you asked me where to shoot.
Oh, that's gold.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And comedy is just cruelty making love to itself. You know what I mean? It's subjective, you know. Relationship people out on date night, they'll probably love it. You know, it's fun. Like, I don't do politics or religion material. It's not my strongest thing. Although I study it and know it, but I don't want to divide a room.
Yeah, you're not passionate about it necessarily.
No, I'm not. You only do what you're passionate about. Like, for me, politics, I've seen comics do it, and I've seen them divide rooms, you know. And some of them are, that's their niche. They're great at it, and they're able to pull it off. I don't feel as confident that I can pull it off. Like, I might have something that scratches the surface about it, but no, it's not something I really want to write about. You know what I mean?
The writing game is, you know, and the developing new material, there's ebbs and flows in there. There's strikes and gutters. It can be an average quality because there's so much hit or miss.
Yeah.
And this is our favorite time to ask the average quality question.
Okay.
Because we're two wildly average guys, and we love talking about our average qualities. So, KJ, I'd like to ask you what your average quality is.
My average quality is the ability to just keep courage, man. Just keep courage. It's just like when you hit with some challenging shit, just like, you know what, it's going to be all right. Let's just keep plowing through this shit and just keep feeling courage, you know, keep courage, you know. So, but yeah, you know, that's sometimes the challenge is just to keep yourself encouraged, keep myself encouraged, you know, like sometimes, you know, you can get ahead of yourself thinking, you know, oh, I should be here, but nah, you right where you're supposed to be. This is life. Live life where you're at now. Don't. Sometimes I feel like I'm greatly misunderstood. You know, like sometimes I feel like the city doesn't give me enough love, or they don't understand me, but sometimes I realize that maybe they don't know me. So, well,
that's why you're on this podcast.
You know.
We gotta let people know about KJ.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. This is dope, man. Because, everybody goes through that sometimes. You guys will go through that. You'll feel like people don't understand you or they don't know you. Or sometimes I feel like I don't get enough opportunities in the city. Like, especially when, like, big names come to the city, the promoters, you call the radio station, like they say had Mike Epps here, whatever. I wanted to get you on that show, maybe open it, showcase. It's hard, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult. And, you can get inside your feelings, but I choose not to. I choose to live with a high level of confidence and peace, and just like let it go. Hey, it came, it went, man. You gave it a shot. You did call and ask. You did, and you didn't get on. So let's just keep it moving.
I love that answer. I mean, that is so thoughtful. I mean, having courage in the toughest times is so fucking hard. And because you can get punched in the face and you just want to sit on the couch and just be like, I'm done. Yeah. And and it can happen time and time again before you start feeling like better about yourself. Absolutely. And that just keep having courage, reminding yourself that. I mean, that's a huge takeaway, and I appreciate you sharing that.
Oh, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When you draw from maybe yourself or other people, or in those tough times, like, are you drawing more for yourself from the courage, or are you drawing from like the other people?
I think it's a combination of both. You draw from yourself and you remind yourself the miracle of life. Like, I've been through some tough situations in life, and I'm still here, and I'm still grateful. I mean, I had some, and then you have friends who or family members who you call up on, and they'll tell you to keep going, man. Don't worry about it. And then, like, you have different experiences that remind you, like, if you've been in near-death situations, like I was in a couple of them with food poisoning, or growing up, you're around and surrounding, people are shooting, and, you don't get hit, or your dad shoot at you, My dad shot at me,
No shit?
Yeah, he shot at me, but he knew what he was doing. It was a calculated shot. Like, I'll tell you the story, if it's okay. Can I say
Yeah,
it?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, I come on a big family. My mom sent me to stay with my dad. He lived, like, cross town. At the time, we just moved back from Toledo, Ohio to Omaha. And I went to stay. She sent me to stay with my dad because I was being bad. My dad's like, hey, don't you go up the street and party with them Avery boys, because all they like to do is smoke weed, drink, and party and do drugs. And I'm thinking, that's what I like to do. So I went up there, and them boys got me higher than a hippie, man. They was they experienced that, and so I came home. I'm newly with my dad, but I've been knowing him my whole life. But this particular time, my mom sent me to stay with him, and I came home and I was high. I was fucked up. I'm sitting on the couch like this, and he said, "Get in there and wash them dishes." And the drugs in me said, "Fuck them dishes." He looked at me. He said, "What you say?" And I remember he walked back to the room, and he came back. He said, "What you say?" And the drugs had a lot of confidence, and they said it again. "Fuck them dishes." And then he shot, like, my father used to be like some type of police cadet, police training, Air Force in college. So he shot like 8 inches above my head, right? And I jumped up like sober. 12 years a slave. I started washing them goddamn dishes. I painted the kitchen. I planted a garden. I cut the grass. I washed all the cars. I cleaned the house. I mean, I went on a cleaning tear for like I cleared my whole chore list for the whole summer in 2 days. He must have felt bad for me. He's like, "Come here, let me talk to you. Now, I brought you in this world, and I'll take you out. Now, what you gonna do with your life?" And I like, "Pops, man, I think I'm gonna go to college and get the hell away from your crazy ass." And then he said, this is the funny part, he said, "You lucky I wasn't drinking, because I would have Marvin Gayed your ass." And I thought about it. I said, oh, he talking about Marvin Gaye, who Dad shot and killed him, the R&B singer, Marvin Gaye. I thought of me. And then he said, he just said, "Man, I love you. I wasn't going to shoot you, but I was sending a message." And then that one bullet I went on, my grades went up to 3.0. I started balling out of my fucking mind. I started getting basketball scholarships, offers from Iowa State, different colleges. I started balling out of my mind. And my mom, I went back home. My mom said, she called my dad. She said, what did you do to this boy? Because he just on it. And my dad said, I was about to fuck him up. I was about to put him in the box and 6 feet under. And my mom was like, well, he changed. He on it now. And then 20 years later, I went back home. I said, Dad, remember that time you shot me? He said, no, I ain't never did nothing like that. I said, bullshit. I took that mirror off the wall and showed him that hole in the wall. I said, you did that shit. I said, you crazy as hell. I said, most young black men was worried about getting shot out in the street. I was worried about getting shot at home. You and your JB, look at you, your JB and your pistol on the table. I call that JB, that bottle of scotch, that jokes and bullshit. But that shit scared me straight, man. And to this day, I still do that bit because it just remind me that he set me straight, man. He set me straight.
He got you going mama mentality before Kobe.
Yeah, man. He set me straight, man. But like it's experiences like that I reflect upon that keep me humbled and yeah, it's interesting. I said 20 years later we had a conversation about it. I said, yeah, Dad, you was crazy. You skipped over, like, you never whipped me. You skipped over 100 ass whipping and threw a bullet at me.
Calculated too.
You know, like calculated, like, you know, and then you did it in front of my aunties, you know, and I'm like, he said, but I had to set you straight, man. You know, and back then, you know, old school cats in my culture didn't play. If you had a father, you had a real father. You know, at least I did. I can't speak for everybody. You know.
Damn,
yeah,
dude, that is one hell of a story and experience, man.
Yeah, he passed 4 years ago of liver cancer, but he's been a positive influence. Even though you have these different experiences, I still wear like the OG fedora hats because of him. You know, when he passed, I collected all his fedora hats and added my collection, so it's a little bit a part of my shit. When I really on the road or whatever, I wear fedora hats because of him.
Right on, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks, man.
That's freaking sweet. So I'm transitioning to the next question seamlessly. This is what's in your back pocket. So this could be your dad. This could be fedoras. This is something that you rely on when pressure becomes stress and anxiety is rising. It's usually a great reminder of something to help you come out on top. What would be that?
It would be family, you know, like my pops that we just talked about, keeping the dream alive that he couldn't achieve. Like, he was a living room comedian. Like, I got my first taste of comedy from him. Like, I came home from college one time and I had gained a lot of weight. It was after basketball season. I was drinking cake, smoking bud, you know. He looked at me. He said, damn, boy, you gained a lot of weight. You ain't been working out. I said, what you talking about? He said, you got that big-ass stomach on you. And I was like, oh, Pops, man, this more cushion for the pushing, more love for the ladies to handle. And he said, you know what they say about a man with a big stomach? I was like, what? He said, it's like a tombstone over a dead dick. My cousin was there. He was laughing his ass off. I said, what you mean? He said, every time you go to get something, you're going to have to dig that motherfucker up. Oh, he was a living room comedian, man. He used to roast us. I used to watch my sister get roasted sometimes. My sister came home from high school one time. She said, Pops, I met this guy, and I like him a lot. What you think I should do with him? And Pop said, not a damn thing. You tell him that and she said, and first he told her, first of all, all he wanted is some draws. Let me tell you that. And then he told her, you tell him that I bought them draws and you better keep them draws on your ass. That's what he told her. I'm laughing. He said, "Cause I buy the drawers around here, and you wear them, and and you keep them on your ass." And yeah, he used to crack everybody up. He came by, nobody was off limit. He's like the Red Fox, Paul Mooney, Dick Gregory, Lenny Bruce, George Carlin rolled up in one. He was real intelligent, but he had he had crazy comedy, man. I mean,
shout out to Papa KJ. The legacy lives on.
Man, he was funny, man. He used to roast he remarried. He used to roast my stepmother. Like, he used to say stuff that was hilarious to me. One time I was coming home. I said, "Pops, where you going?" He said, "I'm finna take your step mom to the beauty salon." So I said, "Oh, you finna take her to get her hair done?" He said, "Nah, she ain't got no goddamn hair. She just gonna get her head done. They gonna slap some oil on it and massage it to make her feel good." Good, and hopefully she'll come back and make my head feel good. He was stupid like that, man.
I bet it was a riot too, man, with freaking 8 siblings or just 8 other family members in the room. I mean, that's got to be a riot.
Yeah, but I mean, my parents divorced young at 5, so we and then I have half brothers and sisters, so the first 3 of us got the same dad.
Got it.
But he treated us all like he loved everybody, man.
That's
and
awesome.
even though, they might have, their father might not have been in their life, but he acted as a pops to everybody, which was dope,
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, that's going back to what we were talking about earlier. Like, your dad is that leader, that role model. That's everyone love everyone. ELE. He was that role model in your life, and I mean, look at you now, doing the exact same thing, projecting that love, that positivity on everybody else, man. So
thank you, man.
It's freaking awesome stuff.
Appreciate that, man.
And then our next question is it's a challenge question, and we've been in the year 2019. We've had over 100 people from the Twin Cities on this couch. We're dominating the sandbox.
Okay.
With the sandbox being the Twin Cities,
right?
And we've only touched the surface of the people here in the Twin Cities, and we want to continue that on. So KJ, I'm curious if you got anyone else that you'd like to challenge us to go after and get, that you'd be like, these guys, these people, these gals would be a great fit for the Back Pocket podcast.
I would say one of my cohorts for our sketch comedy, friend of mine's, Kevin Kraft, who we got millions of hits on with the Whopper Freakout. I've been knowing for a long time. I would say Kevin Kraft and Boyman Freeman.
Okay.
I don't know if y'all know Boyman Freeman.
I do not.
No.
Boyman Freeman was around when I first started. He's like a tall guy. He's from Liberia, but he's been in America a long time. Him and Kevin Kraft would be 2 guys that I would recommend.
Right on. Challenge accepted on both fronts.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. I mean, this is awesome because we get to, I mean, I don't know if someone specifically challenged to have you on the podcast, KJ, but there's been a few people that it's been like a train of like 5-6 people, and you just keep going down the line. So when we get someone such as the people you just brought forth, like, it just gets so exciting because then we get to draw back on these experiences when they come in, and it's a cool time for us.
Yeah, you like both of them guys. Like I said, Boyman does a lot of sketches. He's more like a very high energy, intelligent comic. Kevin he makes a living doing small towns, white small towns. He makes a living doing every small town he can across America. He feeds his family doing that. He's one of the guys that call me like literally every day and want to talk about comedy, or like, we're good friends. We hoop together and stuff like. And Boyman too. Boyman might tell you that we was playing, and I think he got hurt. He ran into me or something. We were playing hoops, and he got hurt a little bit. He's like, "You dangerous to be around on the court."
You stonewalled him.
I think he ran into me or something. But Boyman is hella funny, man. And then they'll probably recommend other. It's so many people that I could recommend, but it's I'll just start with those 2.
That's perfect. Awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you, man.
Mhm.
And this has been a great podcast. We'll congratulate ourselves for asking great questions. But
Yeah.
I mean, to you, man, you've been having some great answers, just great story all around. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, man. And as a guy, man, I thank you, Andrew, and Declan. How you pronounce your name?
Declan.
Declan. And I appreciate it, man. And maybe I'll come back someday in the future after I hopefully something big is
You
happening.
make your break, dude.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the only way you're coming back on, to be honest.
Absolutely,
Just
man.
messing. But hey, before we close up, we've been peppering you with questions this whole time. Do you have any questions for us?
Yeah, I have just a couple of questions.
All right.
Like you guys been doing 200 episodes already, yeah.
Yes.
What is the most interesting experiences that you feel have motivated you to keep going?
That's awesome. First one that comes to mind, season 3, episode 4, Chelsea Larson came onto our show. She's a kidney donor. And we that's all we knew about her because someone mentioned that she reached out to us and said, I want to spread my story. And we were like, absolutely. She gave us like a little brief summary on who she is, and that's all we knew about her. And then she came in and we had an hour conversation. And I mean, I was in tears at one point. It was so powerful, just like how she's like 25 years old. She had a roommate in college that she didn't know that well, that was under the weather and kind of just like disappeared at one point. And she caught wind of why she disappeared a few months later and ended up being the perfect match to donate her kidney to her previous roommate that she never really got to know that well.
Wow, that's incredible. Because of this podcast, she was able to connect with
not because of the podcast, but she wanted to continue
to talk about it.
She wanted to talk about it because
okay.
she's like, if I can tell my story,
Okay.
then people are going to hear this and be like, it's not that scary to donate a kidney if someone else needs it that way. And it's just like those type of moments that totally shock you when they come in here and they share those type of those experiences.
Yeah.
Oh, that's dope, man.
Yeah, no, that's a really good example. Another one would be, and these happen every once in a while. But we had I'll tell 2 stories. First one that comes to mind is we had a buddy who's in med school right now, and he came on the podcast. His name's Josiah. Been good friends with him for a long time. He went to Creighton out in Omaha.
Oh,
actually.
yeah, I know. I used to play ball there.
Yeah.
I used to walk from the projects and play there. It's right across the street from my old high
nice
school.
man.
Yeah, Tech High School. Yeah, I know about Creighton.
And so he's there, and he's sitting in class, and I have another high school buddy from a long time ago I haven't talked to in a long time, but he goes up to Josiah and was like, hey, this is kind of a random question, but were you on the Backpocket podcast? And Josiah's like, yeah, of course. And like, what's really cool about that whole story is not necessarily, it's great that he recognized him and everything, but like, I would have never thought that our podcast is reaching like that far of an audience, so much to the point where people that are external from us are recognizing each other because of it.
Wow.
And I think just like that happens a lot, but I think those kind of experiences are always really rewarding. Another one in particular, is this guy named Matthew Lopez Chronics. He's like this guy who's always commented on my LinkedIn posts. I've been posting on LinkedIn for a whole year now. And he's listened to like every single one of our podcasts. And he sent us like a voice message on the podcast app. I don't even think I've showed you this yet.
No, you haven't. I don't know the story.
But I'll show you like after this. But
Okay.
he left us a message and was like, it made me cry, honestly. It was like one of the more enlightened things, because this guy, he was like, yeah, I mean, I was in a tough spot, blah, blah, blah. But you guys are, doing the most with what you have and are living out the dream right now, just with doing whatever you're doing. And you've inspired me more than you've ever imagined. I've never met this guy in my life.
Wow.
This guy is a total, bystander in the sense. And I was just like, that's unbelievable. And I think what it really gets back to at the end of the day between those 2 stories is just like, when you get the appreciation, not because someone says they like your podcast or they like what you're doing, but more so like you're actually making an impact in those people's lives. That's when it's like the most rewarding.
That's great. That's a dope story too. That's why you guys do this. Last question, and what would you say would be the commonality, am I saying it right? Commonality between all your guests.
Commonality. Okay.
Commonality. That's what I meant. That's a tongue twister for me. With the guests, or have you ever experienced like having an awkward guest?
We have had awkward guests. Yes.
I just wanted to know, man.
Absolutely. And it's fun because those ones, they walk away and they're kind of shocked at how we were able to open them up, because the first 20 minutes, they're typically like an introverted person, and they had a cool story that we reached out to them and we were like, can you come on the show? And they were kind of hesitant, like, yeah, sure, okay. I don't know what I would talk about. And we were like, oh yeah, I know what we're going to talk about.
Right.
But they are still sitting there giving us like 2-word answers and stuff and just kind of like put back. And then we open them up and we get them comfortable, because at the end of the day, you kind of forget that you're here for an hour just talking to the mics. It's just a conversation. And they walk away and they're like super uplifted and they had a great time, because at first they were like so reserved and introverted, and then they realized, actually I have something to say and they want to share it. So
Wow.
it comes full circle a little bit. Yeah.
In terms of commonality, man, it's interesting, right? Because people ask us, you know, or when I'm telling people about the podcast, like, what is Backpocket? It's like, you know, it's really hard to describe, you know, what it is, because it's more just like a brand in a sense of, you know, you're a comic. The X1, we had like Famous Dave on, who's an entrepreneur. We've had like our football coaches on. We've had just like our friends, and you just span this wide spectrum of all kinds of different people that we've had an hour-long conversation with. And you know, the commonality between every single person, and I would say every single great podcast, is simply tripling down on yourself and having the self-awareness to do so, but also accepting it too. Because sometimes you look in the mirror and you're like, God, I'm kind of a shithead, or I'm not very good, or I'm just an average person. But really, when you look into that mirror, when you come on the Back Pocket, you start realizing, like, oh, I have something to say. Like Andrew said, I don't know what I will talk about, but you know what? There is something there. And I think that when people are able to find that within themselves is when they become the greatest.
Okay.
And I think that's really what, I mean, we bring on people such as yourself who have figured that out far before this podcast. We bring on people who are still trying to figure that out. Yeah. And there's commonality in all of it, because at the end of the day, we're all struggling. We're all having these minor successes to just live our best life.
Yes.
That's simply what it is, man. It's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
We have so much fun doing it, and we're not going away. And if anyone wants to go see KJ and Declan perform November 9th,
Underground Music Cafe, 408 3rd Avenue North. It's in the North Loop, right by Twin Stadium.
Cowboy Jacks
is off of 5th and 3rd. You know, if you come down 3rd, it's right there on the left-hand side. If you're coming up 3rd off of Washington, it's down the street from J.D. Hoyt's on the right-hand side. So absolutely. 408 3rd Avenue North.
What time is that? I don't even know what time.
We probably start about 8.
Right on.
8:30 show.
And that link will be in the show notes for everybody listening. So
perfect.
I look forward to seeing you guys there. Are you giving me 10 minutes? How much?
Yeah, you're gonna do 7 to 10 minutes, man.
Oh shit! So, I've never done that much time.
You never
before.
done. Well, do whatever you feel. Just have fun. Come up, do your thing.
Okay.
Just tell a bunch of people, if y'all listening, come on out. He's gonna do a set. And, you know, it's going to be a nice, warm, encouraging vibe, very diverse crowd. And,
sweet.
And it should be fun, man.
I'm
Me and
excited.
Jimmy been doing it for a while. We have fun. We'll like, I'll do the Eventbrite tonight and send it to you. I'll take your picture and put it in Eventbrite so you can send it out. And we just try to sell some tickets and just try to have fun, man. We just bring in our own audience. It's not really a bringer show. It's just like, it's Jimmy and I. We know a few people, and we just send it out, and, you know, we'll try to do a video or something, promote it, and
Absolutely.
You know, have a venue. So, you know, sometimes you have to produce things too, just to have fun. You know, I don't own a comedy club, so I gotta create a comedy club environment. You know,
I love it.
Yeah,
That's why we call it happy hour.
yeah, happy hour comedy. You know,
Amen to that.
Let's go.
And that brings us to our final question, KJ. What did you learn today from the moment that you woke up to when we're having this conversation?
What I learned today was, you know, sometimes you have to give yourself permission to sleep in or just do nothing hardly. Like, if you're tired, be aware. Just be aware that, like, coming off the road, and, like, I was supposed to get up earlier. I wound up getting up at 11:30. And I just said, you know, I'm going to lay here and meditate a little bit and do a gratitude prayer, and then I'm going to start my day. And it's okay if you're tired or if you've been grinding or you're hustling. It's okay to rest and treat yourself. Just like, you know what? Hey, I'm my own boss right now. I'm going to lay in for a little bit before. And then I got up and I went and seen a friend who was in intensive care who had a ulcer that bust. And I went and try to cheer his day up. And then I helped another friend who needed help pulling the battery out. And then I came here. So giving yourself permission to reset sometimes, you know, to treat yourself to extra rest when you need it, you know. So that's what I learned, you know, don't stress about nothing. It is what it is. Life will keep going long after you're gone. So be the best you can. Like you said, be the best version of yourself on a daily basis. If you need to treat yourself. Don't beat yourself, but treat yourself.
Yes.
I like that, man.
A lot of
That's
gratitude
awesome.
in that.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've been this is a nice rest and reflection day where you've been helping other people. You certainly helped us, and I hope it helps anybody who is tuning in. So I appreciate you, man. That was awesome.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate you guys. I had a great time. Give it up for the Back Pocket of Podcasts. The
Booyah.
Back Pocket. Booyah. It's a wrap, y'all.
That's a wrap. Damn, you knew my catch line. That's how I finished.
Well, I've been hanging on the west coast in my heart, right where I'm meant to from the start. It's so much warmer than the secrets you've been holding in. And don't you look at me sideways with those eyes.